The scalpel slipped from Dr. Elias Hawthorne's gloved hand, clattering against the tile like a gunshot in the dead of night, as the monitor flatlined with a merciless whine that drowned out his whispered, "No, not him." Rain hammered the Seattle hospital windows like fists demanding entry, mirroring the storm raging in his chest. Another life lost on his watch, another scar etched into a heart already frayed to threads. He staggered into the locker room, peeling off bloodied scrubs, when his phone buzzed with a text from the building super. "Emergency flood in your unit. Plumber en route. Get home now." Elias slammed the car door against the downpour, the wipers battling a torrent that turned Seattle's streets into rivers of regret. His apartment building loomed like a soggy sentinel in Capitol Hill, fairy lights from holiday displays flickering mockingly through the sheets of rain. Water seeped from under his door before he even turned the key, a cold betrayal soaking his socks as he pushed inside. The kitchen was a war zone. Cabinets bulging, floor slick as an ice rink, and in the midst of it all, a man on his knees wrestling a wrench against the pipes under the sink, his broad shoulders straining against a drenched flannel shirt, dark hair plastered to his forehead, cursing softly in Spanish under his breath. "Jesus, it's like Niagara Falls in here," the plumber muttered, glancing up with eyes the color of aged whiskey, warm, haunted, pulling Elias in like gravity he hadn't felt in years. He straightened, wiping his hands on jeans that clung like a second skin, and extended one calloused palm. "Theo Ramirez, you must be the doc. Sorry about the mess." Pipes burst from the cold snap. "Won't take long to staunch the bleed." Elias shook his hand, the grip firm and unexpectedly grounding, like roots anchoring him against the flood. "Elias, and yeah, bleeding's my department, but this is biblical." He forced a laugh, but it cracked, echoing the flat line still screaming in his skull. Theo's gaze lingered a beat too long, reading the exhaustion in Elias's slumped posture, the shadows under his eyes deeper than the puddle at their feet. "Long night?" Theo asked, voice low and rough, like gravel under tires on a back road. He didn't pry, just turned back to the pipe, but there was a quiet invitation in the way he worked, methodical, unhurried, as if time bent for him in the chaos. Elias leaned against the counter, watching the rain streak the window like tears he couldn't shed. "The longest. Lost a patient tonight. Kid, barely 20. Gunshot from some stupid gang skirmish downtown." The words tumbled out unbidden, a dam breaking in tandem with the plumbing. Theo paused, wrench mid-turn, and looked back. Not with pity, but something fiercer, like recognition. "That'll hollow you out," Theo said simply, resuming his task with a twist that finally silenced the gush. Water slowed to a drip, then nothing. He stood, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his arm, leaving a streak of grime that somehow made him more real. "My pops. He was a welder, fixed ships down at the docks. Died same way, stray bullet in a bar fight he wasn't even in. Left me and Ma scrambling." Hollow's right. The air thickened between them, charged like the storm outside, two strangers bearing fractures neither had meant to show. Elias nodded, throat tight. "Coffee? Least I can do while you. Whatever comes next." Theo hesitated, glancing at his toolbox, then at the clock, 2:17 a.m., and shrugged with a half-smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Why not? Beats driving back to Kent in this mess. They migrated to the living room, mugs steaming on the coffee table scarred from too many late nights. Elias's space was a testament to controlled chaos. Medical journals stacked like Jenga towers, a fern wilting in the corner from neglect, photos of a younger him grinning with a man whose face now blurred in memory. His ex, the architect who'd redrawn their life without him. Theo sat on the edge of the couch, toolbox at his feet like a loyal dog, nursing his coffee black as midnight. "So, Doc," Theo ventured after a sip that burned away the chill. "What's a guy like you doing in a shoebox like this? Capitol Hill's got that vibe, artsy, alive. Figured you'd be in some Bellevue mansion, saving the world one scalpel at a time." Elias chuckled, bitter as the rain. "Saving the world's overrated when it keeps slipping through your fingers. This place? It's cheap, close to the hospital. And the view. He gestured vaguely at the window, where lightning forked over Puget Sound, illuminating ferries like ghosts on the water. Reminds me life's not all sterile lights and beeps. Theo followed his gaze, then let his eyes drift back, tracing the line of Elias's jaw, the faint stubble from a shave skipped too many shifts ago. Fair. Me, I'm just the fix-it guy. Pipes? Leaks? Hearts that don't pump right? Wait, that's your turf. He grinned, self-deprecating. But there was a spark there, a warmth that thawed the room's damp chill. They talked then, words flowing easier than the water had, weaving through the safe territories first. Theo's family, immigrants from El Salvador who'd crossed the border chasing dreams of steady work, only to find prejudice as leaky as old faucets. His ma now ran a tamale cart in Pioneer Square, slinging bites that could mend any soul. Elias shared snippets of med school grind, the Iowa boy who traded cornfields for city pulse, only to find the heartbeat here erratic and unforgiving. By the time the rain eased to a drizzle, dawn smudging the horizon gray, Theo's toolbox was packed, the floor mostly dry under fans whirring like hesitant applause. He stood, reluctant, slinging the strap over his shoulder. Bills on the counter. Call if it acts up again. His voice dipped, almost shy. Or, if you need another coffee break. Elias walked him to the door, the hallway light casting long shadows that danced like unspoken promises. Theo, he said, hand on the knob, thanks for the fix and the talk. Theo turned, close enough that Elias caught the faint scent of soap and solder, clean, earthy. Anytime, Doc. Sincerity's rare these days. Don't let the hollow win. Then he was gone, footsteps echoing down the stairs, leaving Elias with a quiet apartment and a heart thudding louder than the storm's retreat. The next week blurred in a haze of shifts and solitude, but Theo lingered like a half-read book on Elias's nightstand. A text came mid-afternoon, during a rare lull in the ER. Pipes holding? Tea. Elias smiled, thumbs flying, dry as bone. You free for that coffee that isn't emergency-induced? They met at a hole-in-the-wall in Capitol Hill, the kind with mismatched mugs and baristas who knew your order before you spoke. Theo arrived in a faded mariner's hoodie, tool belt swapped for a backpack, looking less like a plumber and more like a guy who'd wandered off an indie album cover. Over lattes, Elias's with a foam heart Theo teased him about. They delved deeper, layers peeling like wet paint. Theo confessed the ache of being the family's anchor, the gay son who'd hidden his truth under grease stains and overtime, coming out only after his sister's wedding last summer, when the toasts had twisted like barbed wire in his gut. Ma hugged me, said God's got room for all pipes, straight or bent. But the crew at work, they joke, but it's edged, like they're waiting for me to crack. Elias listened, really listened, the way he did with patience teetering on the edge. Eyes locked, no interruptions. Then he shared his own fracture. Marcus, the ex who'd promised forever in a Queen and Victorian, only to pack bags for a younger associate 6 months ago, citing irreconcilable silences. Betrayal, sharp as a scalpel's edge, had left Elias stitching his own wounds in the dark. You're too good for that noise, Theo said, fierce, his hand brushing Elias's across the table. A spark, accidental but electric. Sincerity, remember? That's the fix. Dates followed, tentative as first steps on ice. A hike in Discovery Park where salt air whipped secrets from their lips. A Mariners game where Theo's cheers drowned Elias's quiet fears. Quiet evenings in Elias's apartment, cooking pozole from Theo's ma's recipe, laughter bubbling like the stew. Elias marveled at Theo's hands, those plumber's paws that could wrench steel yet trace his collarbone with feather-light reverence. Theo found solace in Elias's steadiness, the doctor who saw fractures not as flaws but as stories worth mending. But Seattle's skies weren't always kind, and neither were hearts. It started with a call from the hospital admin. Budget cuts looming, ER staff on the chopping block. Elias poured himself into cases, 12-hour marathons that left him hollow-eyed, snapping at nurses who didn't deserve it. Theo noticed, of course. Slipped notes into his locker at work, picked up shifts to cook dinner, held him through nights when the rain sang dirges. Then Marcus reappeared, a ghost in a tailored coat, cornering Elias in the hospital cafeteria. I was wrong. Therapy space, I've changed. Give us another shot. His eyes, once home, now pleading like a patient's chart begging for a miracle. Elias's world tilted, old loyalties clashing with new blooms. He didn't tell Theo, not at first. Buried it under shifts and silences. The betrayal's echo too raw to voice. Theo sensed the shift, though in the way Elias pulled back, touches lingering hesitant, glances skittish as deer in headlights. One night, after a brutal shift where Elias lost a mother to overdose, her kid's face haunting him like his own ghosts, he came home to find Theo waiting, takeout from the tamale cart cooling on the counter. Talk to me? Theo urged, voice steady as rebar. Whatever's flooding you, let it out. The dam broke. Words spilled. Marcus's return, the temptation of familiarity, the fear that sincerity was just another leak waiting to burst. Theo listened, face paling like milk under streetlight, then stood, grabbing his jacket. You should have said, I get it, old pipes run deep, but I'm not your backup valve, Elias. I'm all in or nothing. He left, door clicking shut softer than a slam, but it echoed like thunder. Elias sank to the floor, the apartment's quiet a roar, rain pattering mockery against the pane. Days stretched into a gray limbo. Elias threw himself into work, saving lives while his own unraveled. Stitching wounds, ignoring the one in his chest. Theo's texts went unanswered, his truck absent from the building lot. Whispers from the super. Theo'd taken a big job in Tacoma, overtime to bury the hurt. The climax crashed on a Friday, storm fiercer than the first, winds howling like banshees through the Space Needle's shadow. Elias's phone rang at midnight, Theo's number, voice thick with something broken. Flood again. Your place. Need help. Elias raced through sheets of rain, heart pounding harder than the wipers. The building was dark, power out, emergency lights casting eerie glows. Water lapped at his ankles in the hall, Theo's truck idling crookedly outside. He burst in to find the kitchen submerged anew, but Theo wasn't under the sink. Instead, slumped against the wall, face ashen, clutching his side where blood bloomed dark through his shirt. Jesus, Theo, what happened? Elias dropped to his knees, hands automatic, peeling fabric away to reveal a gash. Jagged, deep, from a slipped box cutter on the job, infection raging unchecked. Slipped. Stupid. Didn't want to bother. Theo's words slurred, eyes fluttering, but they locked on Elias's, whiskey warm even in pain. Missed you. Thought you'd choose him. Safer. Elias's vision blurred, tears mixing with floodwater. Never. Marcus was a blueprint, not the house. You're the foundation, Theo, the one that holds. He worked fast, staunching the wound with towels, calling 911 even as he cradled Theo's head. Stay with me. Sincerity's our cure, remember? Don't you dare leak out now. Sirens wailed through the gale, paramedics breaching the door like knights in neon vests. Elias rode with him to the ER, his ER barking orders, veins thrumming with the terror of almost losing. Hours later, stitched and bandaged in a curtained bay, Theo stirred to Elias's vigil, hand intertwined with his. Fool! Elias whispered, thumb tracing Theo's knuckles. You could have called sooner. Theo's smile was weak but real, chasing shadows from the room. Had to fix it myself first. But, yeah, all in. Marcus's shadow faded like fog at sunrise. A polite email, closure without clause. Elias tendered notice on the cuts threatened shifts, bartering for balance. Theo's crew warmed slow but sure, tamales bridging gaps wider than the sound. Months unfurled like fern fronds in spring. Wedding at Ma Ramirez's church, vows exchanged under stained glass that painted them in rainbows. Elias adopted the kid from that overdose night, a boy named Luca whose grins mended more than medicine. Theo's hands, once wrench-bound, now cradled futures. Coaching Little League, volunteering at the clinic, fixing not just pipes but people. In the quiet of their home, upgraded to a craftsman in Fremont, view of the needle twinkling like a promise. They found the cure. Sincerity, poured slow and deep, sealing cracks neither knew they'd survived. Seattle's rains came and went, but their hearts, long broken, beat steady now, together, unbroken. Elias woke to the scent of coffee and chorizo, sunlight slanting through the Fremont curtains like a benediction. Theo was at the stove, humming an old ranchera tune, spatula in hand as if conducting a symphony of sizzle and spice. It had been 6 months since the flood, the real one, the night Theo's blood mixed with the deluge, forcing truths to surface like debris in a receding tide. 6 months of rebuilding, brick by careful brick, and Elias still marveled at the man who'd become his anchor. "Morning, Doc," Theo called over his shoulder, plating eggs with a flourish. His scar peeked from under the Henley sleeve, a silver crescent moon on tan skin. A reminder, not a regret. Luca's still out cold. Kids slept through the storm like a log. Elias crossed the kitchen, pressing a kiss to Theo's temple, lingering in the warmth of him. Lucky him. I dreamed of flatlines again. The ER had been merciless lately. Flu season colliding with holiday stressors, overdose spikes ticking up like a fever chart. But home was sanctuary, Luca's laughter the antidote. They ate on the porch, the craftsman house's gingerbread trim framing a view of the ship canal, barges gliding like lazy dragons. Luca tumbled out eventually, 8 years old and all elbows and enthusiasm, demanding pancakes despite the feast. "Theo, can we fix the bike today? The chain's all wonky." Theo ruffled the boy's hair, eyes soft as he glanced at Elias. "After breakfast, champ. Doc here's got rounds, but we'll wrench it straight." Adoption papers fresh as yesterday's ink, Luca had slotted into their lives like a missing puzzle piece. Foster system scars fading under love's steady drip. Elias drove to Swedish Medical, the Volvo humming through morning traffic, Fremont's hipster buzz giving way to First Hill's clinical hum. Rounds were a ritual. Vitals checked, charts updated, the dance of healing amid beeps and bustle. But today, a shadow lingered. Dr. Harlan, the chief, pulling him aside in the hallway, face etched like old oak. "Elias, budget's biting harder. We're losing 2 attendings next quarter. Your name's on the short list. Seniority's a curse sometimes." Harlan's voice was gruff, paternal, but it landed like a gut punch. Elias nodded, jaw tight. "I'll fight it." The team's stretched thin as it is. But doubt wormed in, echoes of Marcus's abandonment. "You're always saving everyone else. L. Who saves you?" He buried it under cases. A toddler's asthma flare, an elder's quiet pneumonia, hands steady, heart adrift. Lunch was a stolen moment in the rooftop garden. City sprawl unfolding below like a rumpled quilt. His phone buzzed. Theo, a photo of Luca mid-laugh on the fixed bike. Wind-whipped hair a halo. "Are boys flying? Dinner at Ma's?" Elias's chest eased, fingers typing back. "Wouldn't miss it. Love you." Ma Ramirez's table in Kent was a feast for the senses. Pozole steaming, arepas golden, stories flowing freer than the wine. The family had grown on Theo's truth, cousins ribbing gently, uncles nodding approval, Ma's rosary beads clicking like Morse code for grace. Elias felt the embrace. Outsider no more. Luca perched on his knee, absorbing Spanglish like a sponge. "Mi hijo," Ma said, patting Theo's cheek, then Elias's. "You too como el sol y la luna." Balance. Her eyes twinkled. Wisdom distilled from border crossings and widows' vigils. But harmony fractured on the drive home, radio droning news of strikes downtown. Dockworkers picketing, tensions high as the pylons they unloaded. Theo's jaw set, knuckles white on the wheel. Crews talking walkout. Boss is squeezing overtime pay, calling us essential like we're machines. Elias reached over, squeezing his thigh. "You've got rights. Union up." But Theo shook his head, shadows deepening. "It's not just money." Ramirez pried. "Pops taught us to grind, not gripe. But if it hits home, His voice trailed, vulnerability cracking the facade. That night, tangled in sheets scented with them, Elias traced the scar again. "We're in this, Theo. No leaks." Theo pulled him closer, breath warm against his neck. "Yeah, no leaks." The leak came anyway, insidious as a hairline fracture. It started with a call from an unknown number. Marcus, voice smooth as aged scotch. "El, heard about the cuts. I know people at the board. One word, and you're golden." Pause, loaded. "Dinner? For old times." Elias deleted the voicemail, but the seed rooted, sprouting doubts in quiet hours. Was Theo's steadiness enough against the grind? Marcus represented ease, networks, stability, temptations that whispered of simpler paths. He didn't tell Theo, not when the plumber came home grease-streaked from a 14-hour day, collapsing with a beer and a sigh. Instead, Elias cooked lasagna, comfort in layers, and they watched Luca's soccer practice on the community field, cheers rising like confetti. But secrets fester, swelling like unchecked pipes. Theo noticed the distance. Elias's eyes glazing during talks, phone flipped face down more often. "What's eating you?" he asked one evening, Luca abed, the house humming with dishwasher drone. "Work stress," Elias lied, hating the taste. "Harlan's pressure." Theo's gaze sharpened, but he nodded, pulling him into a hug that smelled of solder and sweat. "We'll weather it. Always do." The storm broke mid-November, leaves carpeting Fremont streets in crimson regret. Elias agreed to that dinner, just closure, he told himself. At a bistro in Belltown, waves crashing below like accusations. Marcus was polished, charming, dissecting the menu with precision that once thrilled. "You look good, El, tired but good. Theo's treating you right." The question hung, baited. Elias sipped wine, throat dry. "He's everything. But the hospital. It's killing me slow." Marcus leaned in, hand brushing his. "Let me help." Strings pulled, no catch. Lies Elias knew, but the touch stirred ghosts. Familiar ache, betrayal's prelude. He left early, unsettled. Rain slicking his coat as he walked to the car. Home was lights aglow, Theo and Luca building a fort from couch cushions. Giggles fortifying walls. Guilt knifed him. He joined, voice pitched high for puppet shows, but Theo's eyes questioned, quiet as a held breath. The betrayal erupted 2 days later, Theo's truck roaring into the driveway unannounced. Mid-afternoon. Elias was homesick. Flu, ironic for a doctor. Curled on the couch with tea, when the door flew open. Theo's face was thunder, phone clutched like evidence. Saw the reservation confirmation. Belltown. With him. Voice raw, each word a wrench twist. "How long, Elias? Since the flood? I thought we fixed us." Elias bolted up, world spinning. "Theo, wait. It's not." But Theo's laugh was hollow, echoing his father's bar fight ghosts. "Not what? Not you slipping back to easy? I knew it, humble plumber versus golden boy. I'm the intermission, right?" He hurled the phone, screen cracking on tile, mirroring the shatter in his eyes. Luca peeked from his room, wide-eyed, and Elias's heart cleaved. "Theo, please. It was one dinner. Closure. I chose you every day." "Chose?" Theo's voice cracked, stepping back. "Feels like settling. I can't. Not if you're half gone." He grabbed his keys, storming out, truck peeling away into the gray. Elias sank, Luca's arms around him small but fierce. "Papa Theo coming back?" the boy whispered. "Soon." Elias lied again, dialing through tears. Voicemails piled. Pleas, truths, the raw edge of love bared. Theo vanished into work's maw. Tacoma jobs, dawn to dusk. Ma's worried calls the only tether. Elias manned the ER front, saving strangers while his home echoed empty. Harlan delivered the cut notice. "Sorry, Elias. Pack your stethoscope." Rock bottom came on Thanksgiving, rain lashing the craftsman like judgment. Luca at Ma's, Elias alone with turkey thawed and tears frozen. He drove to the docks, Theo's old haunt, finding him there, silhouetted against cranes, wrench idle in hand, face gaunt as winter birch. "Theo," Elias called, voice whipped by wind. Theo turned, whiskey eyes storm-tossed. "Go home, Doc. Luca needs you whole." "I'm not whole without you." Elias closed the gap, rain mingling with sobs. "Marcus was a shadow. You're light, the kind that mends. I slipped, scared of losing everything. But you're my everything." Theo's resolve crumbled, wrench dropping with a clang. "Hurts, Elias. Thought sincerity was enough." "It is. We are." Arms wrapped, rain washing clean. They stood as lightning cracked overhead, climax's roar yielding to hush. Reconciliation wasn't a switch flipped but a slow thaw, ice yielding to sun inch by grudging inch. Theo returned that Thanksgiving Eve, duffel slung over shoulder, Ma's pie as peace offering. Luca launched like a rocket, hugging legs, babbling forgiveness neither adult deserved. They ate in fits and starts, turkey dry, words tentative. But Theo's hand found Elias's under the table, anchor renewed. "Harlan cut me," Elias confessed over pie crust crumbling like old defenses. "Ours done. Starting fresh. Maybe clinic work, less blood." Theo nodded, thumb circling Elias's knuckles. "Good. We grind together now. I've been thinking. Night classes. Welding cert, maybe teach at the trade school. For Luca. For us." Dreams shared under the kitchen light, fragile as the bulb's glow. They talked till midnight, unpacking the betrayal. Elias's fear of instability rooted in Marcus's flight, Theo's dread of inadequacy forged in immigrant grit. "We're both leaks," Theo murmured, forehead to Elias's. "But together? Sealed." Winter wrapped Seattle in frost-kissed hush, holidays a bomb. Christmas at the Ramirez compound. Lights strung like stars over tamales and carols, Luca's eyes wide at gifts. A toolkit from Theo, stethoscope playset from Elias. Ma pulled Elias aside, rosary in hand. "You fixed my boy. Dios bends for hearts like yours." But healing's path twisted, conflicts lurking like icicles overhead. Spring brought Theo's crew strike. Dock bosses intransigent, picket lines forming under gulls' cries. Theo walked out, solidarity stealing his spine. But paychecks evaporated, tension coiling like rusted wire. Elias picked up shifts at a free clinic in the Central District, patching gangbangers and grandmas alike, the work humanistic heartbeat to his soul. But whispers followed. Marcus's network buzzing, job offers dangled through mutuals. Consulting gig, easy hours. Elias ignored them, but doubt nipped. Bills mounting, Luca's braces looming, Theo's pride a wall against aid. Climax brewed in April showers, skies dumping as if purging old sins. Theo's truck broke down mid-commute, stranding him on I-5, tow bill a gut punch. He called Elias from the shoulder, voice edged with defeat. Crews folding the strike, boss one. Back to scraping, but the truck. It's the last straw. Elias arrived in the Volvo, wipers slashing rain, pulling Theo into a hug that soaked them both. "We'll fix it. Together." But Theo pulled away, eyes stormy. "Always you saving. What if I can't hold up my end?" "Plumber's no prince, Elias." The words landed like hail, bruising tender spots. Elias's temper flared, rare as summer drought. "It's not about ends. It's us." Marcus offered strings. "I cut them. For this. For you." Theo's laugh was bitter, wind-whipped. "Strings? Try nooses. I see how you look at those offers." Tempted, like Belltown all over. Elias recoiled, rain stinging. "That was one mistake. You're twisting it." "Twisting? Like you did to us." Theo's voice rose, trucks honking past like indifferent judges. "I love you, but love's not enough if we're drowning separate." He flagged a ride with a passing carpool, leaving Elias in the downpour, Volvo idling empty. Home was a battlefield. Elias pacing, calling Ma for solace, her words a lifeline. "Amor tests, Mijo. Bend. Don't break." Theo holed up at his buddies in Kent. Shifts resuming under strike's corpse. Silence a chasm. Elias threw into the clinic, saving a teen from sickle cell crisis. The boy's gratitude a mirror to his ache. Luca sensed the rift, drawings of stick-figure families fracturing on fridge art. Betrayal's second wave crested mid-May, Marcus appearing at the clinic uninvited. Charity check in hand, eyes gleaming with possession. Heard about the strike mess. This covers it. And dinner? No pressure. Elias's hand shook on the check, refusing. We're done, Marcus. Truly. But the seed of doubt bloomed. Whispers of what if in lonely nights. Theo learned through grapevine. Ma's cousin at the docks. Gossip swift as tide. He confronted at the clinic parking lot. Dusk painting lots in bruised purples. Him again? Charity my ass. It's bait. Elias whirled. Stethoscope swinging like a pendulum. I refused. Why can't you trust? Trust? After the dinner? After you hid the offers? Theo's face twisted, pain raw. I'm fighting for scraps while he dangles gold. Maybe I'm the fool, thinking sincerity beats silver spoons. Words flew like shrapnel. Accusations of pride's poison, fear's paralysis. Theo stormed to his borrowed ride, Elias chasing into twilight. Don't go. Luca, us. But the car peeled out, taillights fading like hopes. Elias crumpled against the Volvo, sobs merging with sprinklers hiss. Rock bottom redux, deeper for the climb attempted. Days blurred into numbness. Elias on autopilot, clinic rounds mechanical, Luca's questions met with deflections. Theo's radio silence a void, Ma mediating with tearful calls. Venacasa, both of you. Family fixes. The turning point crashed on Memorial Day, sun mocking the gloom with brazen blue. Elias took Luca to Gasworks Park, kites soaring like escaped dreams. When his phone rang, unknown, urgent. Doc Hawthorne? It's dispatch. Your husband's in bad shape. Construction site collapse in Soto. Pipe burst under scaffolding. En route to Harborview. World narrowed to tunnel vision. Elias bundling Luca to Maz. Tires screaming to the rival ER. Theo lay in trauma bay. Leg compound fractured. Ribs cracked. Face pale but eyes fierce on Elias's arrival. Idiot? Elias choked, gloving up to assess. Hands trembling on the familiar. Scaffolding? You wrench pipes, not play Superman. Theo winced, grin ghosting. Had to fix something big. Strikes ghost. Crew needed morale. Then softer. Missed you. All of it. Elias worked with the team, stabilizing, transferring to ortho, his hands the bridge. Post-op. In the dim room beeping reassurance. He held vigil. Theo's fingers laced in his. Forgive me, Elias whispered. The doubts, the hides. You're my cure. Theo squeezed, voice slurry with meds. And you mine. No more halves. Whole or bust. Summer unfurled in Seattle's rare embrace. Sun-dappled days chasing winter's chill. The ship canal shimmering like quicksilver promise. Theo's recovery was a marathon, not sprint. Leg in cast, crutches clacking like hesitant applause through the craftsman. Elias juggled clinic hours with home nursing, Luca's chatter the soundtrack to healing. Drawing get-well cards with superheroes bearing wrenches. Ma's kitchen became command center, Pozole simmering as family council. No more storms inside, she decreed, ladle waving like a scepter. Cousins hauled in, uncles too, sharing strike war stories that bonded deeper than blood. Theo, propped on pillows, absorbed it all, pride yielding to collective strength. You're not alone? Elias murmured one night, rubbing arnica into bruises blooming like forbidden orchids. We mend together. Theo's eyes, whiskey clear now, held his. Learned that the hard way. Site collapse? Karma for pushing solo. But you, showing up? That's the fix. Job offers still trickled. Marcus's network persistent. A final email. Last chance? L stability awaits. Elias forwarded it to Theo, transparency's vow. They burned it in the backyard fire pit, flames devouring paper as laughter rose. Luca roasting marshmallows, innocence the purest fuel. Theo's cast came off in July, First steps wobbly but triumphant on Fremont's sidewalks, Elias's arms steadying. They celebrated with a picnic at Golden Gardens. Waves lapping, gulls wheeling, Luca building sandcastles that echoed their rebuild. Theo proposed there, casual as sunrise. Ring pilfered from a pawn shop, simple silver band etched with sincerity seals. Marry me, Doc? Make the leaks official. Elias's yes was a sob laugh, salt-tinged kiss sealing it under cottonwood shade. Wedding wove through August heat, small and soulful at Ma's church. Stained glass fracturing light into prisms over vows. In sickness and floods, Theo quipped, drawing chuckles. Elias countered. In strikes and scalpel slips, I choose you. Luca ring-bearer, Ma beaming, even Harlan toasting from the pews. Honeymoon was a road trip south. Oregon coast's crags and clams. Theo's legs strong enough for hikes. Elias's heart light as sea foam. They talked futures. Theo enrolling in trade school. Elias eyeing a community health nonprofit. Luca thriving in second grade. Braces gleaming. Fall brought harvest hues to Capitol Hill. Leaves pirouetting like confetti. Betrayal scars faded to silver threads. Marcus a footnote, glimpsed once at a gala. His nod distant, Elias's hand in Theo's the shield. But humanism's core pulsed in the everyday. Elias volunteering at the clinic's youth program, teaching Luca's friends about bodies unbroken by bias. Theo mentored apprentices, his story of coming out a beacon for wide-eyed kids gripping wrenches. One evening, post-soccer, Luca asked over spaghetti, "Why'd you fight, Papas? You're like glue now." Theo and Elias exchanged glances, love's lexicon. "Hearts get bent," Theo said, ruffling hair. "But sincerity? That's the hammer straightens them." Winter circled back, rains gentle now, pattering lullabies on the roof. Christmas lights twinkled from the craftsman porch, tamales steaming beside eggnog. Elias watched Theo and Luca string garland, laughter weaving warmth against the chill. Their family, forged in floods and fractures, resilient as Seattle's evergreens. One stormy night, reminiscent of that first deluge, pipes groaned in the old house. Theo dove under the sink, wrench in hand, Elias holding the flashlight. Water slowed, then stilled, and they emerged grinning, muddied but mighty. "Fixed," Theo declared, pulling Elias close. "Always," Elias echoed, kiss deepening as thunder rolled approval. In the years that followed, life's tempests came, Luca's teen rebellions, career pivots, a global pandemic testing seams. But they held, sincerity the mortar binding them. Elias's nonprofit flourished, healing communities one heartbeat at a time. Theo's classes birthed a generation of tradesfolk proud and uncloseted. At 50, gray threading their hair like silver solder, they stood on that Fremont porch, watching sun dip over the needle. "Worth every leak," Theo murmured, hand in Elias's. "Every drop," Elias agreed. Hearts synced in quiet symphony. For in the end, two long broken souls had crossed paths not by chance, but by the universe's quiet grace. And in mending each other, they'd mended the world a little too. Human, flawed, loved. The truest cure.